Did you ever wonder? I do. Did you ever wonder why the sun always rises, but the stars never fall? Why dry land is never satisfied by water? And why fire never says enough?
So welcome back to Bible Wonders with the Christian Car Guys show. And I would like to say that opening, and you'll hear a little bit at the closing of Have You Ever Wondered, was from the Truth Project. I hope many of you have seen that and just been in awe of what Del Tackett did with that. And so I always loved that little part with the girl and thought I would use that because I really do love to wonder. So today on Bible Wonders is really kind of a wonder because I wonder if you get dreams like I do. Well, I need to tell you that this show is recorded like a day in advance, so you're going to hear this on January the 7th, but it was recorded on January the 6th. And so last night when I went to bed, obviously, like a lot of people, I'm sure you had great concerns about what's happening in the upcoming events in Congress on January 6th. And I have a dear friend that's there praying as we speak, Andy Thomas from the Masculine Journey, who's there on the streets. So, I prayed clearly like I would before I went to bed. And then somehow I woke up, real like 1 o'clock in the morning, something like that. And I just felt an open door to pray that there were so many people praying that it was just an open door. So I began to pray, and then I went back to sleep. And when I went back to sleep, I had some horrible, horrible dreams. And so to describe those dreams, the first one, the only way I can say it was like I was driving a tank that was in, like everyone around me was in complete disarray. I knew nobody that I was with. My family wasn't there. No friend were there. Everyone seemed to be fleeing from their lives, but I don't really know what they were fleeing from, and I certainly didn't know what we were going to. No one was trained, although we were in some type of a military thing. We were in some kind of uniform, and we were supposed to follow the lead of these people. Well, I was supposed to drive this tank that I knew no idea how to drive, and somehow or another I got it going, and I was just follow the person in front of me, and they went in the wrong direction, and whoever the commander was, which really didn't seem to know what he was doing, was certainly mad at us. And it was just this whole sense of disarray. And I thought of desolation, and I couldn't get that idea of desolation out of my mind. But the thing that really just upset me the deepest was that I had no sense of God. I had no sense of God in me. And I woke up thinking, God, where were you? Because I can't believe I didn't call on you in the midst of all this desolation. And it was really disappointing to me, honestly. And then I thought, well, where was my family, God? What was going on with my family? And so interestingly, went back to sleep, had another dream, only this time I was with my family. And once again, we seemed to be being pushed and everybody fleeing in complete fear. But as in the other dream, there was no sense of God, no sense of Jesus. It just seemed that it was terribly scary. So, as I got up this morning and began to seek God and ask for my words and really try to have him, kind of give me some context of what this was meant for me. And the word he gave me was desolation, which is really an interesting thing for me because I see so much of God in the Hebrew alphabet. So when it comes to evil things or things that might seem horrible, they use the same letters. And so the word desolation, very interestingly, the first two letters are the first two letters of Jesus' name, which is a yud and a shin. And so, it's kind of interesting to note, as I really prayed about this, that the things of God for the people of God are absolutely marvelous. But for those people who hate God, they are completely judgment and desolation. And what I really began to sense is that these poor people out there, wherever they are, and they're there right now, that have no sense of God, are running in fear for they know not where. And how horrible it must be, and why it's so important that we share the message of Christ with them, because the word desolation is a yud and a shin, just like Yeshua would be. And then there's a mem, which is a closed mem, which has to do with a body of water that isn't running, like a cesspool. And the idea is without God, these words are absolutely hopeless. And so the other thing that I would notice. It seems like that the word terror was amongst the things I was feeling in these dreams. And so also when you look at terror, here's a word that literally means a letter, the bet, which means the kingdom itself or a house expressed, and then the lamed, like we talked about in the last 2 episodes, which is your heart expressed. So how could it be that? Well, I began to ponder that and think, wow, without God, if there's no God, then you don't know how to get home. What a horrible feeling to have no idea of how to get home. I remember when my parents divorced, when I was like 19 years old, that one of the things that I just remember crying and crying about is I couldn't go home again. It would never be home without both my parents being there. So can you imagine a sense of there's no home? When you have a sense of no home, believe me, that's terror. And that was the feeling of the dream. I had no way to get home. And so the verse that Jesus talked to me about this morning, where I could find these words actually in context, was in Leviticus 26:16. And, here God is telling them what's going to happen if they follow him, but he also tells them what's going to happen if they don't follow him. And this is quite chilling when you hear this verse in light of what's currently going on in the world. It says, I in turn will do this to you, meaning I'll do this to you if you don't follow my commandments. It says, I will appoint over you a sudden terror, consummation, and fever that will waste away the eyes and cause the soul to pine away. Also, you will sow your seed uselessly, for your enemies will eat it up. What a chilling night it was. But there's a certain amount of hope that tells me, there's more songs, I'm told, I Googled it one time. There's more songs about going home than there are about love. And without God, we have no sense of home. We have no sense of the kingdom. And so it's pretty clear that our calling here is that these people that are experiencing all these things we're experiencing right now, that have no sense of God, that have no sense of Jesus, that have no sense of hope, man, we desperately need to share the reason for the hope that's within us as we wonder on today, which would be January 7th for y'all. But I am still wondering the events of January 6th, clearly, as I'm recording this right now at about 9:30, January 6th in the morning.
Did you ever wonder? I do.